Okay. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Leonard. Are you going to join us for class? Yeah, he'll be coming in and out. Hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? Happy Sunday. I'm Jessie, for anyone who is tuning into this randomly this morning. And hello to all my friends and yoga fam that we spend Sunday mornings together. It really means a lot to me that even during this weird time that constant is still happening. So thank you, I just want to say, for being here together. Yesterday, we had one of our yoga teacher training Zoom meetings, which we've been having since we had to be inside instead of together. And we were talking about the idea of opposite action, like when is it appropriate in your own body and in your own practice to do like the opposite of what's present compared to like when do you lean in and kind of like let where you are marinate. And it got my wheels turning. Good morning, Len. Come on in. Yeah, okay. It got my wheels turning about the idea of like muscular energy and organic energy, which are the two types of muscle energy we work with in our bodies in yoga. Here, I'll bring him a little closer while I'm talking about this. So some of us, our natural makeup is more muscular, strong, maybe a little tight. And others of us might have more flexibility or pliability and actually might like have like joints that get hurt because like maybe you have an ankle that rolls really easy or whatever. And so all of us are made up of these two different kinds of energy, and at different points in our lives and in different yoga poses, we need to apply one or the other to get more out of what more out of what, we're looking for in the pose. So if you're a super flexible, loose, limber person, more extension might not be how you get more embodied where you are. And the opposite is true too. Like if you're really strong naturally and really stable, you might want to play with more space, more length, because really it's an ebb and flow between the two. It's not just one or the other. And so that kind of led me to the idea of resiliency in our bodies and in our hearts and in our communities. Resiliency doesn't mean doing the same thing every time. It means being able to adapt or being able to shift our focus to whatever our collective or individual needs might be as they arise. So, I don't know, that was kind of what I was thinking about with the movement I have planned for today. Just a little resiliency. So, come on into downward facing dog. And we won't be there for too long. I promise we're coming back to our hands and knees. But go ahead and step one foot back at a time. Lift your hips in the air. And just see, like, do you this morning feel naturally like stiff or tight or creaky, or maybe a little more loose or like soft, maybe like gummy? And then everyone come down to hands and knees, toes together, knees apart, sink your hips back, child's pose. You can walk your arms forward and let your forehead rest down, or you could stack your palms and bring your head to the back of your hands. And just a reminder here that those observations of ourself are not judgments. There isn't like a right or wrong way to be. We're just figuring out where we are so that we can proceed with clarity. And so when you're ready, come all the way back up to tabletop. We'll move a little cat and cow, some spinal waves here, rounding and arching your back. and then melting your spine. You can go back and forth a few times if you want. You could go side to side, make up some movements, and see, maybe here in this pose, easing up is what feels like it's connecting you to yourself. And maybe the opposite is true. Maybe you feel like you need some more support in your arms or a little more contraction somewhere. And then come back through center. Step your left foot back behind you, toes tuck under. Take a couple of breaths to stretch back through your left heel and long through the top of your head. And then swing your right foot off the edge of your mat to the right like a little kickstand and spin your left foot down flat on the floor so that you can lift your arm up overhead and come into a modified gate pose, Parigasana. You can do whatever you want with your arm. I like to make little circles here, but you could also bring your hand on your hip. You could keep both hands on the floor. That's kind of an interesting stretch. And then we'll come back through center and switch sides. So right foot steps back, spine gets long, spin your left foot back, right heel down, and reach your right arm up. You can do whatever you want with that arm. This side might want something different, but we'll see. Let's try pressing into the right foot, the back foot. See if you can charge up the muscles in your legs, get stronger in your leg, and then maybe translate that to more length in your side bodies. That's it. When you're ready, hands come to the mat, knees come to the mat. We'll meet up in downward facing dog. So from your tabletop, one foot at a time steps back, hips lift up, head and shoulders come down. Take a big breath in, come forward to plank, shoulders over your wrists, hips in line with your shoulders, knees can be up or down. Deep full inhale, exhale, lift back, down dog, hips up, head down, knees soften. Inhale forward to plank. And exhale, lower all the way to your belly. Knees can be up or down. Try to lower your body all in one piece. And when you get to the mat, release the tops of your feet, roll your shoulders up, lift through the front of the chest. Try to lengthen through all four sides of your neck. And exhale, release. Press all the way up and back. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Big breath out. We're going to take a tiny step forward with one foot. And you can pause there. Maybe feel around in the back of your leg and in your shoulders and hips. You could pedal out your knees here. And then we'll step the left foot forward just a little bit in front of the right one. So knees pedal out, hips and shoulders wiggle and shift. And keep going. These tiny, they probably won't feel tiny, but these little steps, one foot at a time. And you may notice that with every step, you need something a little different. So you might want to ground down more through the inner and outer edges of your legs. Or you might want to shift your hips further to one direction or the other. We're going to meet up in a forward fold whenever you're ready. I didn't mention at the beginning of class about props, but you may or may not have yoga props with you. If you want to have like a towel or a blanket for under your knees, books or cans of soup or like big water jugs or a chair work really well for blocks. I like to say a squatty potty works really good for blocks if you've got one of those. So When you forward fold, you want to have some softness behind the knees, especially in these first forward folds, to give the back side of the body a chance to figure out what it needs. Maybe it feels nice to shift side to side or front to back. You might want to deeply bend and straighten the knees, or come up onto your fingertips and fold back down a few times. Bring your hands onto your hips, hug your shoulder blades together, low belly lifts up, press into your feet, come all the way up to stand. Whew. Arms can release down alongside your body. Take a few breaths. Deep inhale, long exhale. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, forward fold, come all the way back down. Inhale, extend out long through your spine. Try not to worry about length. See if instead you can feel all the muscles from the back of your head to your hips engage and hug towards center. Exhale, press into your feet, fold all the way back down. And one more time, stand up tall. You could have your hands on your hips, or you could reach your arms for the ceiling. One more big inhale. Exhale, fold all the way down to the floor. Move your props out of the way. Hands to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. From down dog, keep your spine long. Come forward to plank. Take a few breaths here. And then bend your elbows, lower the body all in one piece. Try to push the floor away as you come onto the mat. Release your feet, roll your shoulders up and back, long spine, and exhale, release. Press into your hands, press into your feet, lift your hips. Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a couple more breaths here. Any movement or stillness? Again, just checking in. Do you feel like you need more support? Muscles hugging towards midline, shoulder blades on the back, legs engaged? Or do you need more length, more softness? Maybe you want to let the head go, or just let your legs do whatever they want. Stay with what you're feeling and take another walk to the front edge of the yoga mat. Come all the way up. Lots of little steps. From your forward fold, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold back down. Press into both feet. Stand up tall, arms lift. Exhale, fold all the way back down. Plant your hands, move through your vinyasa. So whatever connects you to yourself in the spirit of resiliency, of showing up in the moment you're in and being able to respond with care and compassion, with the idea of longevity, or like our well-being as a whole concept, completely relative to where we are, how we feel. And we get to decide, we get some agency in what we need when we're able to tell what that is. From downward facing dog, we're going to bring our right foot forward. So back knee could be up or down. You could just swing your right leg forward, or you could come to hands and knees to help your right leg come up. I definitely want something under my knee for this, I know. So if you want to grab your towel or a sweatshirt or a scarf. feet inside the front foot, and we're going to shift our hips forwards and backwards. So yes, that will bend and straighten the front knee, but think about it more from the hips. Hips moving back, hips moving forward, and you'll notice that you feel different things in different places. So find a place that's interesting for you. You feel like you could take a few breaths, deep inhales and exhales. One more big round of breath. And then hands come to the mat. Step back, move through your vinyasa. So if you're feeling like building heat and strength in the body, coming down to the belly for a back bend might feel good. You might want to take a back bend someplace else or pause on hands and knees. Move with you. We're going to meet up with the left foot forward for that little low lunge exploration on this side. So left foot steps up. You want to have like your knee over your ankle and your whole foot on the floor here. Otherwise, you can kind of adjust your stance to what you want. We'll move forwards and backwards with our hips. So again, not having the action come from the knee, but having it come from the hips moving forwards and backwards, lubricating our joints, kind of figuring out what's going on this side, and then give yourself a few breaths wherever that is. And when you're ready, step back, move things around. We'll meet up in downward facing dog. So if you want to flow to get there, help yourself. If you want to take a few breaths to pause there. That's it. We're going to lift our right leg up into the air from down dog. Stack your hips. Right hip over the left one. Bend your right knee. Knee lifts towards the ceiling. Heel towards the butt. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Draw your right knee in and up. Step your right foot forward. Spin your back heel down. So left toes go to the left. Front leg, right toes go straight forward. Chest and shoulders lift up. Warrior two. So here in Virabhadrasana 2, we'll do some of that same hips lifting and lowering. I want you to be mindful not to like bounce or slam into your front leg. There's no need for that, but just kind of a gentle pulse. And see if you can start to play with the balance between engaging your muscles and lengthening them. They can do both things at the same time, and they do it differently in different places. So just kind of finding like, where is an interesting spot for you to sit a little bit deeper? That's it. One more deep full breath. And then exhale, hands to the floor, step back, move things around. Feel free to come through plank and chaturanga, to pause in down dog or hands and knees or child's pose. We'll meet up by lifting our left leg, stack the hips. Try to open your body to the side so that when you bend your knee, you can open up through the front of your pelvis even more. Deep breath in. Exhale, left knee in, left foot steps up. Spin your back heel down and open the chest and shoulders. Whew. When you get here, that same sort of offering is here to explore this side. It might be really different, so no need to replicate something on the first side as the second. Whatever that means. I don't think that sentence made sense, but here we are. Okay. Let's see if you can find a place to sit a little deeper, to pause and breathe. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, move things around. We're gonna meet up on our belly. So however you wanna get there, come all the way down onto the floor. We're gonna bring our hands back alongside our body. Fingers point towards our feet, thumbs towards the floor, pinkies towards the ceiling, so our palms are towards our thighs. From here, roll your shoulders up, hug them together, and then reach your fingers back, reach your palms towards one another, but not to grab them, just like you were hugging in towards your body. From there, press your pubic bone, the front of your pelvis, down into the floor. Press the tops of your feet into the floor and see if you can use this contracting lift to lengthen, to get longer through your side bodies and neck. And exhale. Whoo, let it go. Just take a few breaths wherever you want to take them. We're going to do that again. So, option one would be the same thing. To just reach your hands back, trying to get space like between your ears and your shoulders. You could also interlace your hands behind your back. You might want to give yourself a little roll side to side there. Again, wherever you are, shoulders roll away from the floor, chin tucks, top of the head reaches away from your fingertips. Try to reach your knuckles back towards the back of the mat. Press everything down into the floor, and then lift your shoulders, lengthen your spine. One more deep breath, and exhale, release. You might want to turn your head the opposite direction or pick something like fists stacked under the forehead. And then bring your hands back alongside your body and press up and back to downward facing dog. A couple of big breaths. From down dog, lift your right leg, step your right foot forward, spin your back heel down, come all the way up, warrior two, hips sit down, chest, shoulders, and hips open to the side. So this plane is in the side, this pose is in the side plane of the body, not the front plane, right? So we're actually letting this hip come all the way back towards the back of the mat. That's it, nice job. Flip your front palm. Keep pressing through your feet. Lift and spread your toes. Keep your legs the same. Lean your upper body back. Side bodies get long. Exhale, hands down inside your front foot. Spin up onto the toes of the back foot. Now we square our hips to the mat. Back knee lowers. Left hand stays down. Right hand reaches back. So if this is plenty of chest and shoulder opening and back leg stretch, you can just stay here. If you want, you could bend your back knee, find your foot with your hand, and kick them into one another. Wherever you are, you might want to bring your left hand out to the left more, roll your chest and shoulders back, and then exhale, release. Bring both hands inside your front foot. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and walk yourself around into a wide leg forward fold. Prasarnapadottanasana. So one option for this would be crawling your hands forward like down dog and having like a wide leg down dog. Another option would be walking your hands back between your feet, fingers point behind you to get a little deeper in your forward fold. There's other options, you might know them. Feel free to help yourself to whatever you'd like. We'll just take a few more breaths here. walk yourself around the back leg. Spin your left toes to the back of the mat. Line your feet up, warrior two, facing this way. Open up through your chest, shoulders, and hips. Try to sit deep. But again, can this be a combination of from your feet, engaging the muscles of your legs all the way up to your pelvis, and then from your pelvis, getting taller through your spine, getting more open through the chest, and yeah, eventually reaching your legs wider apart to sit the hips down. Yes, well done. Flip the front palm, reach back, keep sitting the legs and lengthening. So that same action we talked about in Warrior Two, can we do that here? And then cartwheel, hands down inside the front leg, spin up onto the ball of the back foot, lower your, whatever that is, your knee, right hand stays down, left arm opens back behind us. So again, you can stay right here. You could bend the back knee and find your foot with your hand. Wherever you are, roll your shoulders back, hug your shoulder blades down and on your back, and then lift your hips a little. Try to breathe some space into your middle back and low back. One more deep, full breath. Exhale, hands down. Walk it around, another wide leg forward fold. And this time we'll take a twist. So you're gonna walk your hands out a little further forward. We're gonna bring our left arm, you're gonna look under your right armpit so you can see your right leg. You're gonna reach your left hand and grab a hold of your right leg over it on the outside. So on your thigh, on your calf, maybe on your ankle. It depends on how long your arms are. And from here, press into your legs, lengthen out through your spine, and hug your shoulder blades together. Rotate up and under your right armpit. See if you can get longer through your side bodies. Ooh. And then exhale and release. Take your time, second side. So again, left arm comes forward. You're gonna lower your head and look under your left armpit. Right hand comes to the outer thigh, calf, or ankle. And then rotate up and under your left shoulder. Couple more breaths. And when you're ready, unwind. Walk yourself around inside the right foot to the front of the mat. Lower your back knee to the floor. Feel free to grab a blanket or a towel or a gardening pad or whatever for under your back knee. And what we're gonna do is we're going to, with our hands on the floor, back our butt up and lower our chest and shoulders down as low to the floor as they'll go. You might have to adjust your stance a little for that. You could use books or, like your blocks or your little squatty potty or whatever under your forearms if you want. But we're gonna see if we can lift the hips and keep the front knee bent. So like before, we were playing around with the hips lifting and the knee just moving. This time, anchor through the front leg. Draw back through your front heel towards your back knee. Lift your hips, lower the chest and shoulders. Ooh, that should be some stuff. Option here to duck your right shoulder underneath the right leg as much as it'll go, like you were putting a backpack on. Oh yeah. Keep hugging your thigh towards the midline, towards the center of your mat. Try not to let your right knee wing too far to the right. Ugh. And then unwind, scoot your front heel forward, runner's stretch, Ardha Hanumanasana. Try to square things up a little bit, toes towards the ceiling, right hip sits down. Lengthen out through your side bodies and fold. And one more deep breath. rebend your front knee. Walk yourself around. We're going to come into it the other direction. So this knee comes to the floor. Square everything to the back of your mat. And again, you know, like this action of moving forwards and backwards, now we anchor the front leg and try that action. Hips lift, chest and shoulders lower. Whew. So again, props. You know, I like to keep my elbows bent even if they're not going any lower to kind of encourage the upper body to soften. And again, if you want, you can duck your left shoulder. I'll turn and show that, like facing the camera. If you back your butt up, maybe there's some room to bring your knee over your shoulder. If you get that, or even if you're just pressing into it, hug your knee and shoulder towards one another. In yoga, we call, or in Sanskrit, they call that bhuja pida, like a shoulder pressure. That's it. Whew. And then unwind from there. Bring your hands around the front leg on the blocks or the floor. Scoot your front leg forward and lift your toes. Fold over the front leg, runner stretch. Ardha Hanumanasana. See if you can lengthen out through your spine, even as you hinge at your hips and fold a little deeper. That's it. Lift your chest and shoulders. Rebend your front leg. Walk yourself around. Feel free to pause in a wide leg forward fold if you want to go upside down there or take anything else as a vinyasa. Otherwise, keep going all the way around to the actual front edge of your mat and step back through whatever feels good here. Do you need more strength, more length, more movement, more stillness? And the ways that we show up for ourselves in that really encourage a sense of resiliency, that whatever our needs are, they're valid, and that we are able to respond to them with the tools we have. We can't be responsible for responding with tools we don't have. And that's why this practice of looking is so important, because until we know it's there, we don't even know what tool to use, how it can show up. So give yourself a few more moments, wherever you are. Just peeking at the time here. Okay, great. And from downward facing dog, we're going to add a little heat. So one elbow at a time, come down onto your forearms for Dolphin Forearm Dog. Spend a little time spreading your fingers and palms wide and see if you can get your forearms more parallel to one another so that your forearms and hands look like number 11 with trees coming out of the top. I don't know, that's how I describe that. From here, bend your knees a little, reach your chest and shoulders back towards the tops of your thighs. It might feel good with your chest and shoulders back to lift your hips and stretch your heels towards the floor. If you want, you can walk your feet in a little, and then you'll kind of do the same thing. You'll press into your hands, you'll draw the elbows towards your feet, and then reach your chest and shoulders back towards the top of your thighs. Whew. You can keep going. You can come to child's pose. You may have already well been in child's pose. Good job. Just a couple of breaths there. And come back up, hands and knees. And come into downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Stack your hips. If you want, you could bend your knee and open up here for a breath or two. We're going to eventually bring right leg forward, right foot up. Back heel spins down. This time for a side angle pose. This time, we're gonna keep the right hand inside the right leg. So you could also bring your elbow to your thigh for the, well, kinda, you'll see. If you wanna bring a book or a block under your hand, that'll help this. The idea is that we're gonna press our right arm into our right inner thigh. So you want your hand to be close enough to your body that you can do that. And then press your leg into your arm into your leg, and see if you can use that to roll your shoulders up and back. Woof. Press into the pinky edge of your back foot. See if you can draw all the way up, out through the top of the head, maybe out through your arm. That's it. One more deep, full breath. And then exhale, hands come down inside the front leg. Spin up onto the toes of the back foot and see if you can duck your right shoulder under your right leg. Your right knee is going to be bent-ish. It could be straight-ish. It kind of depends on what's going on here. Try to square your hips to the floor. Maybe walk your hands out right to left. So even if your shoulder isn't under your leg, walk your right hand to the right underneath it. That's it. You might lift your hands and play with a little balance. Press your shoulder into your leg. Oh, and then unwind. Step back. Whoo, shake it out. Your vinyasa. Left leg comes forward. Back heel spins down. Nope. What's this? Side angle pose. So again, block or book or little stool under your hand. And then we're pressing arm into leg. So now you're seeing it the other way. The more I press my arm into my leg, the more I'm able to roll my top shoulder back. Oh, the deeper I'm able to sit my hips. And then from pressing into the back foot, I'm going to extend out long through the top arm. Try to reach my fingers away from my hips. That's it. One more deep breath. Exhale, hands down. Square things up. Try to keep some contact with your front leg as you lift your hips, lower your shoulders, and duck your left arm under so you can crawl your arms wide side to side. Whew. This pose is going to need some resiliency. It's going to need the ability to adjust, to adapt, to take what we have and do with it whatever's going to happen. That's it. A couple more breaths. Maybe the hands lift. Keep hugging your inner thigh towards your shoulder. And then unwind. Step back. Come all the way forward onto your belly. And then lower onto the floor. We'll just do a couple of belly back bends here before we do some seated stuff. So one option would be Cobra if you're just looking for some of this opening. Another option would be either of those Shavasana variations we practiced. And a third option here would be bow pose, Dhanurasana. So bending your knees, grabbing a hold of your ankles, and then kicking your feet back into your hands to lift your chest and shoulders. Whenever you're ready, release your back bend. Take a few breaths. One or two more. So you could do the same thing again. You could do something different. Oof. This shoulder's tight. Whenever you're ready, we're going to meet in child's pose. So one option for child's pose would actually be staying on your belly, with your arms out and your forehead down. That's a really lovely child's pose, in my opinion. The other one's the more traditional one you'd think of. Hips back, arms forward, head down. And a third option would be what we call upward facing child's pose. So sitting back on your heels, palms lift, chin tucks. Deep breath. And then come all the way up to seated. And swing your legs around. Let's see. We're going to start with a baby cradle of our legs. So if you want to sit on like your towel or blanket under your hips for a little height, that helps support your low back and get more stretch in the hips instead of just yanking in the low back. You might feel comfortable as you are, so you pick. Our left leg can do whatever we want with it. It could straighten or it could just stay bent. And we're gonna pick our right leg up and rock it around. So that could be like you could hold your foot and your knee with your hands to do that. You could hook your foot and knee in your elbow creases. That's one way to do that. Or you could bring your forearms under your shin with your palms up. That's another way. Either way, try to get taller. Try to lift your low back. And then we're going to switch sides. So you can let that leg go and pick the other one up. This leg might be real different than the first leg. So don't worry about doing the same things. Again, just see if you can respond to what's here. What does this leg want? What does this leg need? Does it even know? Probably not. That's why we keep looking. Okay, there we go. And then go ahead and let that go. We're gonna come into Paschimottanasana. Sorry, you don't have to turn, I just did for the camera. Seated forward fold. So legs come out in front of us. If we start in Dandasana, staff pose, with our hands along our hips, let me rephrase that. Start in Dandasana, in Dandasana in staff pose. And see if you can, in this seated shape, simultaneously engage the muscles in your legs, engage the muscles in your back, and lengthen out through the top of your head and through your feet. So everything is hugging in and reaching out. The amount that you need those things depends on you. I couldn't tell you the perfect amount of either of them to do. It's just something you have to feel. It's something you experience and respond to. So we'll take it into the forward fold. See if you can keep this engagement and length even as we hinge at the hips, and try to decrease the angle here as we fold. So instead of rounding your back, think about folding in half, or like the arm of a protractor going down. Take a few breaths. When you get about as deep as you're gonna go, let your head get heavy. Let your chin come towards your chest. And then walk yourself up. Keep your right leg where it is. Bend your left leg. Janu Shirshasana. One arm to either side of the right leg. Lengthen up through your spine. And see, you might want, like, my leg is hanging out there. You might want to stuff a blanket or a pillow or something underneath your outer hip, because we want to ground through the legs as we lengthen out towards our front foot. You may even want to focus on rotating your chest and sternum towards the top of your leg to add a little more twist. Bring your head and shoulders down. Reach your hips back behind you. And then walk yourself back up. And switch sides. Left leg comes long, right knee bends. You could bring a block underneath your outer hip if you want. One arm to either side of the long leg. Lift up. So start with that engaged sense of length. And be like, okay, how does that balance for me here? And how do I want to take it with me as I fold towards whatever I'm folding towards? I suppose it's a leg right now. But it doesn't have to be. You could be folding towards like absolutely anything you want. When you get as deep as you're going to get, let your head and shoulders go. And then walk yourself back up. And shake out your legs a little bit. Let's see, where are we on time? Okay. We're going to offer ourselves a double pigeon this morning. If double pigeon is not your BFF, feel free to take any other hip opener you want. Regular pigeon, lizard, Supta Baddha Konasana. If you know a hip opener that works really well for you, like please feel empowered to make that choice for yourself. If double pigeon is something you want to explore or see how it is today, let's go. You're probably going to want some pillows, blankets, towels, stuffed animals, whatever you've got around for this. I know I do when I practice this pose. So one thing you might want is to sit up on some height. So a little blanket or towel or cushion. You're going to bring, I'm going to cue what I'm doing, and we're going to do both sides, so no worries about that. You're going to bring your right shin, if you're following along with me, down on the floor in front of you so that your shin is parallel to either the front edge of your mat or the side, whatever way you're facing, with your knee a little wider than your hip and your ankle bone in line with your knee. So if you flex your foot, you'll be more on the pinky edge. You don't want to see, you can actually probably see that in the video, how my foot's collapsed here and active here. Collapsed, active, collapsed, active, collapsed. Okay, we want active. So that way your ankle bone might lift a little bit. It's going to protect your joints. You'll see what I mean in a second here. So you're going to keep this leg like this, and then you're going to bring your top leg onto the bottom one. And my ankle bone, it's called the calcaneus, that's the heel, excuse me. Your outer ankle bone, you're gonna put past your thigh, because otherwise it's gonna stab your leg and not feel good. Same thing with this foot, it's flexed. If my legs were to touch, which obviously they're not gonna do today, my shin bones would be stacked. So I don't want to see the bottom leg when I look down through the triangle of the top leg, more or less. I want everything to be kind of lined up. So if, like me, your leg is floating in space, you might want to put a blanket, a pillow, something between your legs so that neurologically your body receives the message that it's safe to relax. It won't if it doesn't think the ground is nearby. So once you get yourself there, if your bottom leg is lifted too, you might want to just straighten the bottom leg and come into a figure 4 pose here, because you don't want to hurt your knee. You don't want to stress out your body in a way that hurts your back. So make the choice for you that feels like you could sit for a few breaths, which might not be any of them, but you know, we do the best we can. If your bottom leg and top leg are on, if your bottom leg's on the ground and your top leg is touching the bottom leg, you're cleared to forward fold. If, like me, your top leg is really lifted, my belly and thigh are already touching, there's like nowhere for me to fold. So I'm just gonna prop myself up and breathe into my low hips here. Couple of rounds of inhales and exhales here. Keep activating through your feet. So just like we did in all of those standing poses, see if you can charge up from the ground all the way up through your legs into your pelvis, and then lengthen out through the top of your head. Try to get more space in your spine and in your shoulders. One more deep full breath. And exhale. Unwind out of there. Shake out your legs a little bit. You could flop them around or kind of windshield wiper them. Get ready. We're going in the other direction. So you'll set it up the same way. Your left leg, your knee is going to be wider than your hip. Your shin bone is going to be parallel to the edge of your mat. And again, that bottom foot is flexed. It's not flopped, it's flexed. Yes. From there, I'm going to take my top leg and stack it over the bottom one. So neither of my legs are touching right now, so I'm definitely going to put a blanket under my bottom leg. And then what else I got? I don't know, I got this block. I kind of stuff the block between my legs. Whatever works. Again, you might be folding forward. You might still be figuring out what's the most comfortable position for you. Again, if my bottom leg was any further lifted, I would be straightening it, but I kind of know this hip. We work together, so I'm gonna see how this feels. Stay here for as long as you want, either propping yourself up or folding forward. We'll give ourselves a few more deep breaths. Whenever you're ready, come all the way out of this shape. Oh, you might want to shake your legs out a little. You might want to take something symmetrical. We're coming onto our backs, so however you want to get there, you can help yourself down onto the floor. When I rest on the ground, I always like something under my head and neck, so feel free to give yourself a pillow or a towel or a blanket. And then move any way that feels good. You may want to hug your knees into your chest or take a happy baby pose. You might want to bring your feet together and your knees apart, or just lengthen your legs out on the floor in front of you. Deep breath. Maybe you want to twist and bring one leg across the body at a time here. We're getting ready for Shavasana, for our final relaxation pose for class. So set yourself up in a comfortable position to rest for a couple minutes. If lying on your back is not the most comfortable way for you to rest right now, feel free to lay on your side or put your legs up the wall. You could get on your couch. You could take an easy seated position. Couple of full breaths all the way in and out, just letting yourself be where you are. Just rest. Well, if you'd like to stay where you are and rest a little longer, you don't have to move. But if you're ready, start to move things around, stretching out or hugging in. You could roll over to one side for a few breaths. And when you're ready, if you'd like, use your hands on the floor to press up to an easy seated position. One where you can let your hands rest somewhere comfortable and comforting on your body. So on your legs, alongside of you, on your chest or belly, maybe palms touching in front of your heart. When we practice that type of nuanced engagement and expansion as a way of practicing just being a person. Sometimes we need more effort, other times we need ease. And usually it's a delicate and yet robust fluctuation between those places. And so take a moment here to thank yourself for being resilient today. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me. Hail yourselves, yogis, and have an awesome Sunday. Let me know if you have any questions about anything, and I will see everyone soon. Next Sunday, Dalton is going to be leading our community flow here on our Facebook and Instagram page, which I'm so excited about. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see everyone soon. Bye.